The world won't stop talking. Everywhere you look, someone's shouting for attention. Opinions dressed as truth. Distractions disguised as connection. You scroll, you listen, you absorb, and before you know it, your mind isn't yours anymore. You carry 1,000 voices that never earned the right to live in your head. The noise doesn't just surround you, it defines you. Every opinion you defend, every reaction you post, every comparison you make, is another chain tightening around your focus. The Stoics warned about this centuries ago. You become what you give your attention to, yet you hand your attention away for free. You've forgotten the sound of your own thoughts. Silence feels uncomfortable because it exposes the truth, that you've been running from yourself. But silence isn't emptiness, it's clarity. It's the space where your real voice returns. When you turn down the volume of the world, you finally hear the whisper of who you could be. That's the beginning of mastery. When you stop reacting to the noise and start commanding your own mind, you think you're in control. But you're not. Every insult, every like, every judgment pulls a string, and you dance. You've mistaken reaction for strength, but it's weakness wearing armor. The moment someone offends you, you rush to defend your pride. The moment someone praises you, you crave more. You've built your worth on the shifting moods of others. The Stoics called this emotional slavery, the inability to rule your own response. They taught that no man is free until he controls what disturbs him. Look closely. Every reaction steals energy that could have built your peace. When you let others dictate your emotions, you surrender your throne. Real power isn't loud. It's measured, deliberate, still. You don't need to respond to everything. You don't need to correct, prove, or explain. The less you react, the more you reclaim. Mastering silence isn't withdrawal. It's dominance. The world screams for your attention, but you finally refuse to bow. One day you catch your reflection. Not in glass, but in the mess you've created. Every distraction, every argument, every wasted hour stares back at you. You see how noise became your escape, how validation became your drug. You weren't chasing purpose. You were running from emptiness. The Stoics spoke of this illusion, how men fear silence because it reveals the truth of who they are. You've built a life reacting to the world, not shaping it. The mirror shows you what you've avoided. Your chaos isn't out there. It's within. You realize that to focus on yourself, you must step away. Withdrawal is not weakness. It's purification. The world thrives on your reactions, but your soul starves for stillness. You finally understand. Peace isn't found in controlling others, but in mastering yourself. So you turn from the noise, not in defeat, but in defiance. The silence you once feared now becomes your weapon. You fear being alone because silence exposes your truth. But solitude isn't punishment. It's power. Every Stoic knew this. Marcus Aurelius wrote that a man's soul becomes invincible when it learns to retreat within itself. Solitude is where clarity is born, where you strip away noise until only your essence remains. In isolation, there's no one to impress, no one to react to, only the reflection of your unfiltered self. At first, it's uncomfortable. You crave distraction, you reach for your phone, you want escape. But if you endure the quiet long enough, something shifts. You begin to think clearly. You start to feel your own strength. The same silence that once suffocated you now becomes sacred. You realize that solitude isn't about escaping people, it's about returning to yourself. Every minute you spend alone is a brick in the fortress of your mind. The world chases noise to feel alive. You choose silence to become unshakable. You waste energy defending your choices to people who will never understand your mission. You tell them why you're distant, why you're focused, why you've changed, as if your growth requires their approval. But every explanation is a leash. The Stoics warned, when you seek validation, you hand away your peace. The truth is, you don't owe anyone a report on your silence. You don't have to justify discipline, boundaries, or purpose. Those who misunderstand you are meant to. Silence is not weakness. It's control. Let them think you're cold, arrogant, or strange. It doesn't matter. The more you explain, the more you dilute your power. A lion doesn't tell the forest he's hunting. He simply moves quietly with intent. So move like that, without noise, without permission. Let your results speak the language explanations never could. When you stop explaining, you reclaim the authority of your own path. You stop asking to be seen and start building something undeniable. Disappearing isn't quitting. It's construction. You withdraw not to escape the world, but to rebuild your foundation away from its noise. Every master, every Stoic, every great mind withdrew before they rose. Seneca said, "It is not that we have little time, but that we waste much of it. The world glorifies visibility, but creation thrives in obscurity. When you vanish, no one sees the work, only the transformation. The silence becomes your forge, your isolation the hammer. You strip away weakness, distraction, validation, until only purpose remains. You stop performing and start producing. The absence they question becomes the presence of something greater. Focus, strength, peace, you return not to prove anything, but to embody everything you built in silence. Withdrawal was never retreat. It was evolution. Those who mocked your distance will one day call it discipline. The world thrives on your reaction. Every post, every insult, every provocation is bait. And most take it. But the Stoic path is different. You learn to see everything, yet be moved by nothing. Observation is strength. Reaction is slavery. When chaos erupts, you breathe. When someone tests you, you smile. You begin to understand that silence isn't passive. It's precision. Every second you don't react, you grow sharper, calmer, untouchable. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." This is that power in motion. You watch the noise, but it no longer enters you. You conserve energy that others waste proving themselves. Your calm becomes unsettling to those addicted to conflict. You win not by fighting, but by refusing the invitation to war. In stillness you dominate. In silence you rule. Your mind becomes what it consumes. Every headline, argument, and dopamine hit is a seed planted in your consciousness. You wonder why you can't focus, why peace feels distant. It's because your mind is a battlefield of noise you invited in. The Stoics guarded their attention like warriors. Epictetus warned, "If you wish to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." That means turning away from the circus, the gossip, the endless scrolling, the opinions that poison clarity. You don't need more information. You need more silence. Control your input like a man protecting his kingdom. Read what strengthens you, listen to what sharpens you, and cut off what drains you. Every distraction you reject becomes fuel for your focus. Your attention is your greatest currency. Spend it with purpose. When you master what enters your mind, you master what your life becomes. Your emotions are wild horses. Powerful but untamed, they'll drag you through chaos. The Stoics didn't kill emotion. They trained it. You will be betrayed, envied, misunderstood. But reaction is a choice. Most men burn in anger or drown in sadness. You, however, learn to stand in the fire without flinching. Emotional stillness isn't apathy. It's discipline. It's the ability to feel everything yet be ruled by nothing. Seneca wrote, "He who conquers himself is the mightiest warrior." That's not poetry. It's practice. When rage rises, you breathe. When fear whispers, you observe. You stop being a slave to moods and become their master. The calm you cultivate is not softness. It's power under control. The world screams, provokes, tests, and you remain unmoved, a mountain in the storm. That stillness becomes your weapon, your peace, your silent rebellion against chaos. Discipline is the quiet fire that reshapes your life. You no longer wait for motivation. You build momentum through ritual. Every morning you rise before the world does, not because it's easy, but because it's necessary. The Stoics lived by structure. They knew freedom is earned through repetition. Routine isn't prison, it's precision. Each act, each habit, each repetition becomes a silent declaration, "I control my life." The world moves in chaos, but your routine anchors you in order. You eat with purpose, train with intent, work with focus. There's no noise here, only rhythm, a warrior's rhythm. You stop chasing moods and start honoring commitments. Over time, the mundane becomes sacred, and the ordinary becomes unstoppable. Discipline isn't glamorous. It's forged in silence, and in that silence you discover something divine. Consistency is the purest form of strength. You could die tomorrow. The Stoics never hid from that truth. They lived by it. Memento mori wasn't morbid. It was liberation. When you remember death, noise loses its power. The gossip, the envy, the endless chase, all meaningless under the shadow of mortality. You start valuing presence over approval, purpose over pleasure. Each breath becomes sacred, each moment a chance to build something eternal. Death reminds you that time is the only currency worth guarding. So you move with urgency, with silence, with intent. You stop wasting words and start writing your legacy in action. You've said enough. The time for explanations, promises, and opinions is over. From now on, your results do the talking. Words are cheap. The world is drowning in them. But action? Action is rare, sacred, undeniable. The Stoics believed in living philosophy, not speaking it. Let your silence confuse them. Let your progress expose them. When they ask where you've been, show them the results of your solitude. When they question your path, point to what you've built in silence. You no longer need applause. You create your own validation through discipline. Speak with your work, your focus, your transformation. Every silent victory echoes louder than empty talk. You are no longer heard. You are witnessed. You've crossed the threshold. The noise that once controlled you now fades into the distance. You walk through chaos untouched, calm, deliberate, aware. This is what mastery feels like. You don't need to prove, react, or chase. You move with quiet certainty, guided by discipline and detachment. The Stoics called it apatheia. Not numbness, but control. You feel deeply yet remain unbroken. The world still screams, but its volume no longer reaches you. You've turned silence into strength, solitude into growth, pain into purpose. You've become the man who builds instead of talks, who acts instead of argues. What began as withdrawal has become rebirth. You no longer seek peace. You are peace. You're not alone in this silence. Across the world, others walk the same unseen path. Men who've traded noise for purpose, distraction for discipline. This is the Stoic brotherhood, those who rise before dawn, who fight private wars in quiet rooms, who build not to be seen but to become. You feel their presence in every moment of restraint, every act of focus. Together, you forge a new standard of strength. Calm, relentless, unshakable. Now it's your turn to speak without words. Comment your silence. Declare your strength. The builders are listening. The world will soon see.